Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stress Free IEP, the show where we help families build their village so they can raise their neurodivergent children with confidence, clarity, and support. I'm your host, Frances Schefter, special education attorney, advocate, and fellow parent, walking this journey with you. Each week, we shine light on professionals, services, and real world strategies that support your child both inside and outside of school. From navigating the IEP process to finding the right providers in your community, we're here to help you to connect the dots and feel empowered every step of the way. Whether you're joining us live on Facebook or YouTube or listening later on your favorite app, we're so glad you're here. Now let's dive in and meet today's amazing guest. Rachel Greenberg is the founder of the Social Skills Girl. She provides social skills and dating coaching to individuals with disabilities. Rachel, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have you because this is not a usual area that you hear about,
No, you don't hear about it very often.
So what does it look like, dating coaching?
Dating coaching really is about people who want to get out there but don't know the steps to do it, or something's lacking, or they need a confidence boost. So let's say I generally work with someone and we go over what the difference between dating and an exclusive relationship is. We go over the absolute no's of a person, the absolute yeses of a person, where they can meet people. If it's online, I help them make a dating profile. If it's in person, I help them find events. We go over confidence. We talk about how, the saying, there's many fish in the sea. So we talk about rejection. We talk about how, unfortunately, there's going to be people who might ghost you. And also the social component of conversation starters and how to maintain a conversation when talking to a potential partner so you can build a rapport with someone that will hopefully lead to something.
And so I'm assuming you build in like the social skills part because I
Yes.
know with our neurodivergent children, they and adults, don't always understand the facial expressions and the
Yes.
tones of voices and things like that.
Yeah, a lot of what I do is game based. So that's actually one of the games I do where I will say, like, is this what you should do, or is this what you should do? So I'll frown and then we'll say, no, it's not approachable. I'll shrug, no, it looks like you're not interested. I will smile, I'll say, that makes you look approachable. I will sit up straight and say, that's polite. And I'll also give them clues on how to tell if the other person is actually interested in talking to you. Like, are they asking you questions? Are they, distracted and playing on their phone? Are they giving you eye contact? That's a good sign. And I also, for those folks who have trouble with eye contact, a little tip I give is that if you don't want to look someone in the eye, you can always look them in the forehead or in between their eyebrows. So it at least appears that you're looking them in the eye.
Right. Did you freeze or you're still there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I thought you froze. I know. It's just so funny because I'm thinking about, and I'm sure him and his wife probably won't mind, but I'm laughing because my cousin at his wedding, and the funny thing is the rabbi did the same story, not knowingly, was telling the story about his first date with his now wife,
Yeah.
and she thought he wasn't interested because he kept looking around the room.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is his job is running security for events. So he's just used to, you know what I mean? Like checking all
Yeah.
the exits
Yeah.
and stuff. So he was totally interested, but it just that, so it was funny that, something you would take as not interested, you got
Yeah.
to understand where somebody's coming from.
And also to give people the benefit of the doubt, even if it appears they're uninterested, try again, because something like that could mean nothing in the scheme of them being interested.
Right.
So, um, and also empowering women to ask men out, because that's something that, even though we're in 2026, it's still somewhat stigmatized, which is a
Right.
shame.
Yeah. I mean, it's yeah, I hear it so often. I mean, like I'm thinking back to when I was dating many moons ago. Well, not that many, but about how like the online dating and things like that and how nerve-wracking. Like I loved first dates and stuff because I always thought it was fun meeting new people, but I also knew it was sometimes nerve-wracking. So I almost
Absolutely.
always did a second date with somebody because that first date is never really who the people truly are, right?
Mm-hmm. It's their best selves.
Right, exactly. It's not, it's nervous and stuff like that. And, they say first impressions, but in dating, it's not quite the same
No.
because, right? Like first impressions in the sense of, is he showing up? Are they showing up clean, dressed nicely, on time, those type of things. But when it comes to like conversation and being natural,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more challenging.
Especially for our neurodivergent folks, if they might have a stutter or some Tourette syndromes, um, to make things difficult to hold the conversation. But I always tell my clients that unless there's a severe red flag that tells you that you should not see the person again, that you should give them a second chance.
Yep. Yeah. Because you'd be surprised what, things turn into.
Oh, absolutely.
So how did you get into this? Because this isn't something like, you're growing up. Oh, I'm going to be a dating coach when I grow up,
Yeah,
Like, so
so
what?
I got my master's in special ed and realized I did not like teaching. It was too overwhelming, too overstimulating, and I didn't get to have the one on one interaction with the students that I really wanted to have. So I then became an employment specialist, and then Love on the Spectrum came along. And I watched the show and I pointed to it and I said to my fiance, I want that. I want that. So I started doing it on the side, and then I got enough clients to where I could leave my job and start on my own. And now I have you know, a mix of dating clients, social skills clients, and also I do something called Wing Woman, where I go to activities with the individuals to help them write in like the there and now while talking to people. So Fred is looking for a girlfriend, so I'll go to the bar event with Fred and prompt him with conversation, and I'll be his friend for the night and help boost his confidence and have someone safe with him so he feels okay going. So I
That's
have
so
a lot of
awesome.
those as well.
Yeah, because it's nerve-wracking. I mean, I remember when I was single and going to those events, and they're not easy,
They are
because like
not easy.
even when you're an extrovert and even when you're, neurotypical, which I hate, but, when you're confident with yourself, which I don't think anybody is ever
No.
fully confident, right? Especially at those events, because you feel like everybody's judging you, you're judging everybody, and do you fit in, and, all of that stuff.
I talk to my
So,
clients a lot about when they say that they're self conscious about something. I kind of give an example of how the sad but also awesome truth is no one's looking at you. It's all
right.
us thinking about ourselves. So let's say I go in a restaurant, I got sunburnt on my lips bad last week and it was blown up. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Who's everyone's going to look at me and they're going to think I'm weird or they're going to think I got bad lip fillers." um, so let's say I walk into a restaurant and I'm kind of like, hiding myself because I'm afraid of what people are going to think of me. And then at the next booth, there's a man with thinning hair. And he's thinking, what are the people thinking of me about my thinning hair? He's not paying attention to my lip. He's paying attention to his thinning hair. And then there's a girl with acne. And the girl with acne is so focused on her acne. And she's thinking, everyone's looking at my face. And she's hiding her face. But, no one else is focusing on her. We're all focusing on our perceived flaws that aren't even flaws, they're just parts of us, um, that we need to accept in order to become more confident and competent in dating.
Yeah. And like, do you is it like a program you do, or is it just a one-on-one, based on each person's needs, or do you do like classes? What does it look like?
I do one-on-one based on each person's needs, and the reason I do that is because they can be their full actual selves without worrying what other people are going to think. I imagine, like five people wanting to date, and someone says something, and then they get embarrassed and become quiet. Like I become like a peer. I'm more of a peer-led mentor than a coach. So they feel like they're talking to someone that they could talk to just to have fun with. And that's how I guide my sessions.
That's awesome. So then when you go out in the community, it's definitely more that hangout relationship, like you're
Yes.
just friends, and I'm assuming like in that situation, not only coaching, but you might be in the conversation with whoever the person's
Yeah,
meeting.
absolutely. And then it all depends. I might start with with high supports and be in the conversation. And as we go out, I would phase myself out and say, hey, that person is sitting by themselves. They're not distracted. They look available. Why don't you go talk to them and introduce yourself? I use something called the conversation skeleton to have a conversation with a new person. It goes introduction, specific question. The specific question is what you're doing or where you are. So if you're at a restaurant, have you been here before? What do you like to eat here? If you're at a party, how do you know the host? Then asking about the person's interests and hobbies, then asking small talk questions. So that would be movies, TV, games, sports, family, school work, and then giving a reason for leaving because we don't want them to just be like, bye. And then leaving. So I practice this method with a lot of my clients. So when they're talking to someone, they can think like one after one. Okay, I just introduced myself. I need to ask the specific question. I need to ask them what they like to do for fun, and hopefully they'll ask me as well. So it's kind of rigid and easy and not as overwhelming.
Right. And if you practice it, it becomes natural. So it doesn't feel like you're doing
Absolutely.
a script.
Absolutely.
And so you work with them a lot. And I'm assuming like, well, in person and virtual.
Yep. I say that I will do in person if they're about 20 minutes away from me. I'm in Bethesda, and virtual if they are further. But what I've really found is that virtual is really effective. It just feels like I'm like sitting across from someone at a dinner table. Like a lot of parents who talk to me, they're like, "Oh, it's virtual. That's a shame. My child can't do virtual." But I haven't had, you know, one client who struggled because it was virtual.
Yeah, I mean, in today, like I remember back before COVID when it was like, oh no, you have to be in person for IEP meetings. You have to. But that's because the other alternative was to be on the phone. And now, yes, there are some times that it's like, yeah, I should have been there in person because you can see the little side glances and things.
Yeah,
But for the most part, I feel I'm just as effective virtually as I can be in person.
absolutely.
And it's just,
Absolutely.
yeah. And it's getting comfortable with the person and I would think, I'm just thinking like for some of our neurodivergent kids, it might be easier for them to do virtual at first
Mhm.
because they're in the comfort of their own home, right?
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. And because it's not so intimidating to have the person right in front of you, they can, fidget a little bit if they need to under the camera, um, be more of themselves, not have to mask.
Right. And feel, yeah, no, I can see that. So like how does the process work? Like if somebody's like, oh, this sounds interesting, I want to know more. Like what does that look like?
All they have to do is go to my website, which is the socialskillsgirl.com, and it describes all of my services. And there's an inquiry form. They can also call my number at 301-641-6293 to get more details. I'm happy to talk to whomever, even if they aren't interested in my service but need some advice. I'm happy to give it. And then my email, Rachel at thesocialskillsgirl.com.
Awesome. And then, people reach out and they're like, "Oh, I need help with this." Is it more general or people need to know specifics?
What do you
Do you
mean?
know what I mean? I'm just thinking like, somebody says, "Oh," or I guess this is more appropriate. Like if somebody's saying, "Oh, my son needs this so bad," can they get in touch with you, or does it have to be the son doing it?
Oh, they can get in touch with me. Absolutely. It's mostly parents who actually get in touch with me.
Got it. And what age range do you usually work with?
For social skills, anywhere between 8 and up, and then for dating, 16 and up.
Oh, okay. And then, I'm assuming you do girls and boys.
I do.
What, how does the social skills work for like the younger kids?
Lots of games, lots of role play. I call it instruction, discussion, role playing games. I had a client who really loved her stuffies. So we would have them talk to each other and have conversations with each other. I like meeting my clients where they are, not, forcing them to be on my level or forcing them to interact the way I'm interacting. So if I'm, allowing them to be where they are, they'll be comfortable and they'll be able to make strides.
Right. And then how does that work with, I mean, obviously you're not taking 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds to a dating, event or things like that. Like, how does that work with them actually practicing the skills they learn with you in the social situation?
Um, I have found it's more so we do the sessions where I do the teaching and the role playing, and then I find out from the parents that they went to an IEP meeting and a teacher was raving about how their communication skills were stellar. So transferring the skills from the sessions to school, to parties, to family get-togethers is how it usually works.
Got it. And the kids just naturally do that once they've practiced
Yeah.
it enough.
Mhm.
That makes sense because I know a lot of people are like, well, how can you do social skills if there's not other kids to do the social skills
Yeah.
with?
And I'm
You know?
totally open to doing groups. It's about getting the groups together. It's really difficult because first you need it to be the right level for
Hmm.
kids, then you need it to be the right age, then availability. So if there's a mom and she's like, I want a social skills group for my kid, I'll put it together. By all means, I'd be more than happy to do it. I've done social skills groups before.
Got it. But yeah, it makes sense because finding the right fit, I'm thinking about it like social skills. Oh, you want to learn to get along with everybody. But yes, eventually maybe that's the goal. But when you're first starting, there's got to be a certain comfort level with the people, or you're gonna mask. You're not gonna come out of your shell. You're not gonna be your true self.
Putting yourself out there, yeah.
Yeah. So I could see that. And so you said you're in Bethesda, so you do this area, but you do, I'm assuming nationwide since you do
Yeah,
virtual as well.
absolutely. All over the place.
Yeah. And I'm trying to think what else, like what other services. So you have the social groups for the younger and the dating for 16 and up. Um,
So I do have another service. I don't advertise it because it's not what I'm focusing on with my brand, but I have 7 years of employment experience. So I do have a few clients where I help them find employment. So if there's any parents out there whose kids are really struggling with finding employment and need help with resume writing um, or interview preparation, that's something I can do as well.
I was gonna say that like interviewing that leans in nicely with the
With
social
social
skills
skills,
because
yeah.
like social skills isn't only about the dating and the being out and social.
No,
Like
it's
how do you
not.
act at an interview? How do you act when you're meeting people in an office for a first
In the
time? How do
workplace,
you,
yeah.
yeah, because it's very different skills.
What questions are appropriate, which questions are not appropriate, which topics are off limits.
Right. How do you want to answer? Like how personal can you get or should you get?
Yeah.
All of those things. Yeah, it's interesting because you don't like now that I think about it more is like almost every situation is a social situation.
Yeah.
And it's very different how you behave in school versus how you behave at home or at a family party or a friend party or at work or at synagogue or church or, like every single event,
Yeah.
you got to learn those little nuances.
But it all comes together with social skills, really, to be able to interact with people.
Right. And so
And
you break it
I
down.
I try
Yeah.
to encourage my clients. I tell them, I'm like, "Do you know who Michael Jordan is?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'll be like, "Okay, do you think he scored the first time he threw the ball in he threw the ball?" And they're like, "Probably not." And I was like, "Exactly. You might fumble, you might stutter, you might have trouble following the conversation skeleton, but the more you practice, just like Michael Jordan, the more you're going to become a social skills master."
Right. Yeah. And that makes sense with everything. I think it was Michael Jordan. I heard the story. I think it was him that he missed a shot during a game one time. And so after the game, he spent like 2 hours doing free throw shots.
Oh, wow.
And people were like, why? And he's like, because I missed a shot. Like, you don't get the best without practicing over and over again. And so it's kind of like, you learn from your mistakes. And was it it's like, yeah, he missed a free shot. That's normal. Everybody does. But he wants to keep practicing so that there's
Yeah,
less of a chance of him doing it again,
absolutely.
which is kind of, that it makes sense. And once kids understand that and young adults understand that it's practicing like everything else, they
Yeah.
seem more comfortable probably. Because I know, like, I think back to, like public speaking or just, participating in school, participating in class, making friends and all of that. And it's hard at first.
Very.
And then,
But
yeah,
it's about building your confidence, going back and forth. One exercise I'll do is, I like that I'm kind. I like that I'm understanding. I like that, and going back and forth and saying things we like about ourselves and giving, like certain ideas for how to boost their confidence, writing down things they like about themselves in a journal or on the mirror, so they can look at it every day and go, "Oh, I do have things going for me."
yeah, I can see that being, and I'm thinking I have a sixth grader and oh God, it's rough. Middle school is just awful. I
So
hate.
hard.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I'm thinking about, like, she was making a comment about new friends she met and like, well, they're different now because of other people at school saying, "Oh, you shouldn't be friends with her," and all that other stuff. And she's like, "But I want to fit in, mom, and you won't let me wear what they wear, and you won't let me do this." And I'm like, "But you need to find who you are
Hmm.
and not just try to fit in."
You have to find your tribe.
Right. Well, and it's also like find out who you are and who you want to be. So
Hmm.
it's not you just like, well, they're all wearing this and dressed like this, so let me wear this and dress like that.
Yeah.
That's not what it's about. I understand where she's coming from, and that's always a challenge as a parent of like, no, I don't want her to be the one kid left out. But, like I look at it and she wants to wear a little tube top.
Oh boy.
Like,
Yeah.
no, no, at least definitely not to school. And she's like, but all the kids are wearing it. I'm like, I named 6 kids that weren't wearing it. And she's like, but we're the outcasts. And I'm like, you're not the outcast. You're just not the kids wearing that. It's just
Yeah.
different. And just because other kids are wearing it, I'm like, sorry, I have boundaries. You're not wearing that to school. Like in the
Yeah.
summer, maybe I'll let you get one, but I just don't think it's appropriate for school. Other
Yeah.
parents have their own rules and their own thing, but like there's certain things that are appropriate. You can wear that to school. You can't wear that to synagogue. You can wear that to synagogue. You can't wear that to the beach. You know what I mean? Like, there's just with social skills, there's certain ways you can dress for certain events.
Absolutely.
And, so it's always that battle with her and I of that I'm making her an outcast. I'm like,
Oh,
no, honey, you're just sixth grade. Everybody's an outcast in sixth grade. Because trust
that
me,
is
those
very
girls,
true.
right? Those girls that you think are the cool kids that are putting everybody else down, guess what? Their self-confidence is probably the lowest in the school,
Absolutely.
because they feel they have to put other people down to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's sad. Um, Yeah, that's why middle school just, I just did outdoor ed with her and it was so, oh God, sixth graders, like being with a bunch of sixth graders. It was surprisingly okay. Like it wasn't as dreadful as I thought it was going to be. Um, maybe I just got lucky. I had a really good bunk. I had a really good table because they split up groups. Um, and it wasn't that bad. They seemed to all get along. And like, I'm wondering, is that, yeah, well, probably they let themselves be themselves without the school pressures of like, well, my friend won't be friends with me if I talk to you or things
Yeah.
like that, you know? And it's just that finding out who you are. And that's what I think a lot of outdoor ed
Building
is
yourself.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I remember one of the moms was talking about she had a bunch of girly girls that are like doing their full makeup and she's like, "You're out in the woods." Like, dude, seriously. Like, who are you trying to impress? Like, trust me. And then she went into like her son, who was a couple years older, and she's like, he prefers girls that aren't all made up all the time, that are going to
Yeah.
get out on the course and play gaga and play basketball and go hiking in the woods without worrying about their makeup and their hair and stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, especially middle schoolers, have this like stereotypical view of how they should be, which is a very dangerous thing because that's when you don't build your own identity or belief system.
Yeah. And today online, it's so hard with the pictures and the videos and you should be
Yeah.
this and you should be that. And um, unfortunately, my daughter falls for often like, oh, if you buy this product, then this is going to happen. And if you wear this, then boys are going to like you more, like all the advertising stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I have to buy it. Oh, I have,
I do work, I primarily work with people who are neurodivergent, but I also work with people who aren't, mostly teenagers, who just need some guidance about bullying, about, you know, being their best selves, about finding their values. I had a client, one of my first clients was someone who didn't have a disability, and she would come to me and tell me about this girl, and this girl was bullying her, and I would say, okay, so what do you do? And we would talk about, like, what do you feel represents you the best? Do you want to say things back, nasty things back to them, or do you want to walk away? So teaching people who are in tough climates, how to handle it, and having someone to talk to other than mom and dad.
yeah. It's interesting you say that because my daughter's physical therapist, who's just absolutely amazing, Gabrielle, who's been on my show a couple times, and I talk about her all the time. She does so much more than physical therapy. Like she's not a physical therapist. She's like everything. And one of the things that she's been working with Hannah on is like when kids are mean and when kids say something mean, like how to respond to shut it down.
Yeah.
Because like obviously if somebody says something mean to you and you say something mean back, you get in that back and forth.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
sometimes walking away just isn't possible. And so like one of the things she was working on, like if somebody says, ew, why would you wear that shirt? Because I like it, and walk away. Like it
Yeah.
shuts them down because a bully, somebody that's picking on you isn't expecting you to just not care. And
They want the
so,
reaction.
right. And if you don't give them the reaction, and that's the hardest thing I work with Hannah is like, they want the reaction. They're doing it because they want you to react. They want you to explode. They want to see the drama and stuff. That's
Mm-hmm.
what they want. And she'll say, "But mom, sometimes I just can't anymore." And I said, "I get that, and that's fine. When you get to that point, that's why you have a flash pass. Walk out of the class. Go visit your
Yeah,
counselor. Don't do don't let it get to the point that you explode and lose it. You can get yourself out of the situation, go to the counselor, and then lose it because then they don't see it." And they're
absolutely.
not getting that satisfaction.
Going to the right environment is always
Right.
important.
Yeah. And it's hard in school because you're forced to be with certain kids that,
Yeah.
right.
And
And,
then it goes into adulthood with work.
right, exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like somebody, like I hate when principals say, like in elementary school, when you have a situation that it's clear the teacher and the kid are just clashing, like switch teachers. And I hate when principals say things like, well, when they get older, they're going to have to learn how to interact with everybody. It's
Yeah.
like, well, number one, yes, when they get older, but this is their learning environment. They
Yeah.
don't have a choice, A. And so we need to get them in a comfortable learning environment. B, when they get older, no, they don't have to learn how to work in every environment with every type of person because you quit and you go get another job. You
Right.
know, like and it's like forcing these kids to be in situations that are uncomfortable,
Finding
which
their
me
niche.
huh?
Finding their niche,
Right, finding their niche and how to like why should they have to deal with somebody that like it's not a good learning environment if somebody's not feeling comfortable in there and if they feel picked on by the teacher. And whether it's right or wrong, it's their perception of what's going on. And
Absolutely.
unless something's done to fix that, then that child's not going to learn for the entire school year,
That's true.
you know? And so like I'm just thinking like along those lines. And I guess that's where you can come into coaching of like, what do you do when you're in
100%.
that situation?
100%.
Right? Yeah. Like how do you adjust yourself to be able to do what you need to do in that environment safely for yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, without adjusting your true self. Like it's still being true to yourself,
Yeah.
right? But there are times we do have to suck it up and deal with it. And um, we did. I was just thinking about it, Girls on the Run. I'm a coach with Girls on the Run, and we were doing a thing the other day that was really cool of big emotions. And
Yeah.
one of the things was like, what do you do when you have big emotions? What are things you can do? And one of the big emotions that we wound up putting was happy. And they're like, well, why would you want to get rid of happy? I'm like, well, what if you're really, really happy at a funeral? And they're like, oh, like there are situations that being really, really happy in a giggly mood is not appropriate. So what can you do in that situation? And
I
they're
am
like,
going to plug in my computer. I
oh,
apologize.
no, no, you're fine. But like, it was just really funny because it got the kids to think about like, yes, happy is a big emotion that you usually want, but it's not one, like you don't
That
want it all the
transfers everywhere.
right, exactly. And it was kind of cool, like watching the kids with their expression of like thinking it through of like, oh, okay, we could see why you need to, get rid of the giggles, and things like that. So I'm trying to think like, is there anything I didn't ask you that you wish I had asked you?
No, I'm here to help anyone who needs it, who might watch this and have any questions, whether or not they want my services or not. But it really is a great way to work on interactive skills to improve rapport with peers, build relationships, potentially romantic relationships, and not have to, you know, do it all with mom and dad.
Right.
It's more peer to peer.
And I love that you said that you work with neurotypical kids and adults also, because it
Yeah,
just sets the ground of you're not broken. Everybody's struggling with this,
100%.
you know? It's tough. It's tough. Like I know, adults that are still struggling out in social situations where it's just like you see them do something, you're like, oh my God, you did not just say that.
Yeah,
Um, but it's something that everybody could use help with of learning how to, I'm like thinking like even married people, there is, marriage counseling and things like that, but it's not necessarily the counseling, it's how to communicate with each other,
communication is key.
you
Being
know?
on the right, level, like knowing the topic, knowing, how to place yourself, how to respond, how to, um, yeah, just there's so much that has to do with social skills. When really a lot of people think it's just, oh, talking to people. It's not just talking to people.
You know?
It's about making yourself comfortable, making other people comfortable, like building an identity, building relationships, making strangers into acquaintances, into casual friends, into deep friends, to build confidence. Um, to learn about yourself. It's endless.
Right. And I was just thinking about like, and body language. Like if you're sitting at an event
Yep.
like this,
Yep.
who's going to approach you? You look angry, you look mad,
Exactly.
we're sitting open and like, like relaxed. It
Yeah.
makes you more approachable. And
It's
just
so
simple
funny
things.
because a lot of people do it and they don't even realize.
Right. Because they don't know what to do with their hands and how to do it and how to feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this has been so awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on the
Thank
show and sharing
you.
all of your words of wisdom. And I know we said all of the ways they're going to be in the show notes of how to contact you, but thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
And thank you all for joining us on this episode of Stress Free IEP. We hope today's conversation gave you new tools, insights, or just a little more peace of mind as you support your neurodivergent child. Next week, we'll have episode 143, where Liz Sokolov will talk about college readiness versus risk for neurodivergent teens. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with someone in your village. You can always learn more and connect with me at schefterlaw.com or follow along on social media. Until next time, remember, you do not have to do it all alone.